All right, what is up, LinkedIn? Really excited today. Got a good friend of mine, Elrod, as he's dancing. I turned the music off as soon as I started doing
That
it.
was epic music. That was fantastic.
We've got to be able to do it. Like everyone probably is like, oh, it's Josh and Hal, right? Like Hal, I told you right before this, I don't do a lot of LinkedIn lives anymore, but like when your team asks, I've got to be able to have the music. We got to play in the background. Blinding lights, being able to get it. So like, look, Hal, I've known you for years. I'm blessed to be able to have this conversation with you. I'm excited to be able to see everyone that joins us today. We kind of went through this last minute to be able to really, really help because like, dude, I'm going to go through your intro here in a second. I'm going to read it word for word because that's what we do. But at the same time, brother, your book has been influential in my life. And so that's why I'm super excited for this new edition to be able to go in. So before I get off track and I get all fanboy on like a good buddy of mine, which is just, what I do. Let me read and let me make sure everyone understands who Hal is, right? Like, and this is the cool thing, Hal, like I'm not only doing this as LinkedIn Live, I've got this streaming from my Facebook page to my Twitter X, even though I don't really play on that platform anymore. I've got it on YouTube. So like everyone's getting blasted across the board. So let's have some fun today. And, for that, all right, everyone, look, I'm going to read it word for word because he deserves it. He's earned the right to be able to have me read his intro word for word.
Well, my mom didn't write that for nothing, Josh. My mom didn't write that bio for people to not read it word for word. Come on.
Exactly. So here it is. Let's go. Hal Elrod is a family man first and foremost. He is a loyal husband to his wife in 14 years and a dedicated father to their 2 children. He has also lived a life that would break most people. At 8 years old, his sister died in front of him. Like at 20, his car was hit head on by a drunk driver at 70 miles per hour, and he was found dead at the scene. His heart stopped beating for 6 minutes. Then at 37, he was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer and given a 20 to 30% chance of surviving. I was there, y'all. I watched Hal go through that. Sorry, added in the word of. Yet he has somehow managed to turn all these adversities into perspectives and practices that has helped millions of people transform their own lives. His mission is to elevate the consciousness of humanity one morning and one person at a time as an international keynote speaker and the author of 12 books. And I'm going to tell y'all, like, before I get into this, like I probably have at least 9 of them. So I'm a little short house. So I got to get the other books. But most notably, The Miracle Morning, which has sold over 2 million copies, been translated into 37 languages, and he is practiced daily by hundreds and thousands of people in more than 100 countries. He's doing exactly that. His latest project in his new book, The Miracle Morning, updated and expanded edition, in which he has rewritten nearly every page and added over 70 pages of new content, including 2 new chapters. The Miracle Evening, your strategy for blissful bedtime and better sleep, and The Miracle Life, your path to inner freedom. Today, Hal's going to share proven methods that overcome, and just going through the things that are facing you and changing the aspect of your life by simply changing the way you start your day. And as I said, Hal, dude, I look back in, man, I was introduced to your book years and years ago, right? And it was during a path that I was going through, man, which was going through a divorce, really being able to kind of see what was I doing? What was I sharing? Dude, I even wrote about you in my own book, and you wrote the afterword in my book. Like, again, this is the craziest thing that kind of goes through. Like, that's how impactful your book was. So super excited to be able to have you on today, brother.
You too, Josh. Thank you, man. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for inviting your many followers and sharing this across the board. I appreciate it so much.
No worries, man. So like, look, like you've had the book, you've done 12, like what pushed you really to be able to go, okay, you know what? It's time for a shift. It's time for a change. Like this book has been so influential to so many people, including myself. Like what changed in your life really that said, you know what? I need to be able to update this.
Yeah, there's a few things. And I will say, I'll actually start with the fear of when you have a book that's done so, sold millions of copies and done well, the fear is, what if I mess it up? Right. I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to add too much that it's too long. I don't want to this and that. But the reason I did it is there's two or three reasons. Let me see where we get here. Number one is, if you ever go back and read your own work from 10 years ago, you're embarrassed by it, right? Hopefully you are. Hopefully you're growing so much that you're like, oh my God, who was I when I wrote this? I was so tone deaf. I was so unevolved, right? So I've always, every time I read my own original Miracle Morning book, it's like, oh man, this could be so much better. So that was number one, is I always wanted to make it better. Number two is the Miracle Morning, the original book. I started writing it probably 6 months after I created the practice in 2008.
Right.
So I was new to all six of the components of the Miracle Morning, known as the savers: silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. I was relatively new. And I think that's why it resonated with a lot of people, is I really made it simple and practical, because I wasn't an expert in any of these. Well, 15 years later, I've evolved my Miracle Morning practice, all sorts of new, like in the new book, I teach emotional optimization meditation, which is a practice that I kind of created, taking the best of what I had learned and done over the years. And then lastly, in full transparency, the Miracle Morning's been a self-published book for the last 11 years. And we've turned down over a dozen publishers. It never was right. And we finally found the right publisher to get it into retail stores, so that it's in Target and Walmart and Barnes and Noble and all these places, to reach more people. Because you mentioned the Miracle Morning mission is to elevate the consciousness of humanity one morning and one person at a time. And we've reached a few million people with the book, but that means there's 8 billion people that I've literally, the rest of my life is dedicated to, how do I share the Miracle Morning practice so that it can help these 8 billion people the way it's helped these 2 million people. So those are the main reasons. And last thing I'll say is, I added 70 pages of new content. So, you mentioned the new chapters. I added 25 new pages to the savers section alone, and I rewrote almost every page just to make it better. So,
dude, that's huge. And I mean, I love that, because as someone who, I did not take the time to be able to find the right publisher, right? Being able to go through, I had my book published, went through, I was like, this is amazing, got a publisher. They didn't do half the work, right? Like, I think that, you being able to go through, as the marketer you are, that is why, like, I want everyone to realize, like, Hal didn't have anyone out there, this big publishing company, going through to be able to get in 2 million hands. I don't know if everyone understands how difficult that is, but that takes a miracle to be able to do these things. Yeah. Right. And like, to be able to see this now, and to be able to see the evolution of where you've come from, and where you've been, and then where you're going. I mean, dude, I know for a fact how many more people you're going to be able to help change their lives. I mean, it truly is. And I mean, like, how we kind of go through, and I'm going to talk about, in a second, but I have to mention to everyone here, like, we talked about when Hal was going through his cancer, like, this man, and I have to take a second, just because, again, brother, I care and love about you so much. I remember us playing volleyball. We're going in. Some of us were over there going and like, oh man, like, dude, I'm dying. It's hot. I'm tired. Hal's out there going through all his treatments, everything like that, and still, like, not complaining one bit. I'm like, dude, that right there, I mean, with the kids, stuff like that. I mean, like, I just have to take a second, brother, and just acknowledge you, because you don't just talk about these things, right? These aren't just things that you go, because I mean, like, you and I have a lot of friends, they write a lot of books, and you're like, cool, dude. Like, you wrote something. Like, I don't see you actually following that.
Yeah.
I've watched you our entire friendship, not only do it for yourself, but do it for others. So, I just want to make sure I acknowledge that, brother. And I want people to understand that there's so many people in this world, so many books, and so many of them, they wrote their book because that's what they were told. And we're going to see that a lot more now with AI. I think that people are like, oh, look, I'm an expert in X.
Yeah. No, it's funny. Our mutual friend, Brad Weimert, he often, people will be like, does Hal really do the Miracle Morning or something like that? And he said, I room with Hal at a lot of events. Like, me and Brad will room at Genius Network or whatever events. And Brad's like, no, you don't understand. Like, he's in bed by like 8:39 every night, no matter what. Like, he won't come to none of the evening stuff. And then B, when we're rooming together and we're both in a queen bed, like, I go into the bathroom at 3:30, 4:30 in the morning, and I just do my Miracle Morning by myself on the bathroom floor. And I think that's it to me. And I don't know any other way, but to me, it's everything that I teach is that this radically, or significantly impacted my life in a positive way. And I feel a responsibility to share it with other people, No,
I get it.
Miracle Morning wasn't a book idea. It was 2008. And I want you to listen to this. If you guys are worried about the economy right now, in 2008, when the U.S. economy crashed, I crashed with it, like millions of people. I lost over half of my income. My house was foreclosed on. I lived on credit cards. I went deep into debt. And the Miracle Morning was my own solution to turn my life around. And I created this morning practice. I combined the best 6 of the best personal development practices in the history of humanity that the world's most successful people have sworn by for centuries. And I did these every day. And within 2 months, I more than doubled my income at the height of the 2008 Great Recession. I mean, the economy was tanking, and all of a sudden my income went from tanking along with the economy to I doubled it in 2 months. And I literally went to my wife in the hallway. I remember the moment. I said, sweetheart, I just signed on 2 more coaching clients today. She goes, oh, congratulations. I said, no, you don't understand. We've officially doubled our income since I started that morning routine. Again, it wasn't called the Miracle Morning. It wasn't a book idea.
Yeah.
We doubled our income in the last 2 months. It's all because of the morning routine. It's the books I've read. It's the affirmations I've done. It's the visualization. It's all led to this moment. And I go, it feels like a miracle. And she goes, it's your Miracle Morning. I go, yeah, boom. I was like, I love it. Miracle Morning. And then I just started teaching it to my coaching clients, and they 13 out of 14 came to their next call. Most of them resisted, going, I'm not a morning person, Hal. Like, thanks. But, and I'm like, I know, but you pay me to get you out of your comfort zone. Like, come on, let's do this. It'll change your life. And 13 out of 14 clients came to the next call 2 weeks later and said, oh my gosh, I'm having the best week in my sales career. I was #1 in my office. I'm running again. I'm reading. I'm now meditating. I've never done any of these things before. How this Miracle Morning works. And that's when the light bulb went off, and I went, wait, if the Miracle Morning changed my life and my clients' lives and most morning people, I have a responsibility to share this with the world. And again, I wasn't a writer. I wasn't, I 3 years it took me to write the book. I was a slow writer. I self-published it. But again, if you're watching this, to me, that authenticity that you're talking about is really important. Like, you can't, if you're just selling something to sell it, if you're just selling something to make money, you're going to lose your drive. Most likely, people are going to feel that disconnection, right? If you're using AI just to sell something, for me, the Miracle Morning is a way of life. It's my life. It changed my life. And my life now is dedicated to helping as many people as I possibly can with the practice, not to make money. I mean, that's a byproduct of it, right? But It really is, because I feel like we all have a responsibility as brothers and sisters of this human race to help each other as much as we possibly can.
Dude, I mean, mic drop on that. I mean, because I don't think that everyone understands, right? We live in a world now where we buy all these different products and services to hack, or to, find the next hack, to find the next trick, to be able to help our business, or to be able to build friendships or lose weight or whatever it is. But it's always, we're investing in someone else, something else. Right. And like what you're saying right now is, by simply investing in ourselves, there was massive shift, not only in yourself and your clients, and now over 2 million people around the world. Like, I think that's a hard concept for most people that are listening right now to really, really grasp, because we've been taught by society that we need to be able to be there we need to do things for other people. But I mean, like, that's why we run into a society now that is running on empty, right? We're exhausted. We're beat down. We're just going with the flow. And I mean, like, yours is exact opposite of that, right? Like, feed yourself first.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's important. The 2 things, the premise of the Miracle Morning is starting every day in a peak physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual state, so that you can show up at your best for those you love and those you lead. And it is that old oxygen mask analogy on the airplane, right? You put your oxygen mask on first thing in the morning. Whereas most people wait till the last minute to wake up, and then they check their phone, and then they're reactive the whole day, and they can't bring their best to the people they love and the people they lead, or to themselves, because they didn't start their day in a peak state. And so it's crucial to do that. And the second thing is that I think that for me, I know that when I created the Miracle Morning, it was a selfish pursuit, meaning I didn't have kids yet, and I was struggling. And when you're struggling, when you're in a bad place, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, all of the above, it's hard to focus on other people, right? Like you can't see out. So you're like, I'm drowning here. And in 2008, I was drowning.
Right.
And what I've realized now, after doing the Miracle Morning for 15 years, is that I do it for myself, but in service of others. So it's like, it's a win-win. It's literally like, I get to feel better every day, start every day in a great state, learn, grow, and evolve and become a better version of myself. And then I'm a better dad for my kids. And then I'm a better husband for my wife. So the Miracle Morning enables me to be the husband that she deserves, and the dad that they deserve, and the human that humanity deserves, and everybody, and I win, and everybody, right? So like everybody wins. But it does, to your point, it starts with making sure that every day you're giving to yourself first, doubling down on your self-care so that you can serve at the highest level, and everybody wins.
How? I mean, dude, it's just, you say it so well. I mean, because you live it, right? It's not like you're trying to be able to find out what the answer to my question is, right? I mean, like, this is what I love you, brother. And I mean, I appreciate what you just said, because as I look back at my own life, right, and being able to go through prior to Miracle Morning, prior to a reset that I went through, I thought I did a lot of good for other people, right? I went through and I did this. And I love how you just switch that around, right? Because like back in the day when I was quote unquote successful, right? And this is, we base success on a monetary value in this world. Yeah, I was 40 pounds overweight, never been overweight in my life. My friends were monetary and I had no vision about where I was going. I just knew where I was at. And it was this whole, work-life balance that becomes such an issue with so many people. And I was like, oh, I'm doing good. I'm like, I'm doing this for other people. I didn't realize till later I was giving to other people to give to myself, right? I was like, oh, here, let me do this for you. Let me do that for you. And it wasn't selfish. Like, and you just switched it, right? You just flipped that whole piece, right? Where you're like, no, give to yourself so you can give to other people. And I want people to understand that, because I think we get so confused in this world right now, how, because like, I'm doing good, or I'm donating my time, or I'm donating, money. Because again, that's what a lot of us do. And that's going to make me feel good. And the difference is the shift. The shift is give to yourself so you can, not the reverse, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's who you are versus what you do. And of course there's a correlation, but I think that we've been conditioned to believe that the secret to success is to do more, right? You got to produce more, you got to work harder, etc. And there's of course merit and value to that. But just to kind of circle back to the beginning, please. The Miracle Morning was born off of a Jim Rohn quote, off of a Jim Rohn philosophy. I was 2008. Again, I'm struggling. My body fat percentage had tripled. I'm 50 grand in personal credit card debt. My house is being foreclosed on, all these things. And my good buddy, John Berghoff, he encouraged me to listen to this Jim Rohn audio, because I called him and said, John, I haven't really told anybody this, man. I'm like kind of embarrassed. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm struggling. I'm a success coach and I feel like a fraud because I'm not succeeding myself. I don't know what to do. And he said, I want you to listen to this Jim Rohn audio. I said, dude, I need you to help me figure out how to increase my income. I said, I need to make more money. Like, I don't need to go personal development. Like I need a strategy. How can I get more coaching clients? How can I, right? That's where my mind was at, which is a lot of people listening, but that's where we're at, right? It's the surface, the tip of the iceberg kind of versus the base. And he said, Hal, I'm telling you, listen to this Jim Rohn audio. It will teach you how to become the person that you need to be to create the financial results that you want in your life. I was rolling my eyes like, okay, dude, whatever. I'll listen to it. I'm desperate. I got nothing else better to do. And so I listened to Jim Rohn audio, and he says a single quote. And I'd encourage you to write this down, if you don't already know this by heart and have it top of mind. Jim Rohn said, your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development. And I had heard it before. You might have heard that before, but here's how it landed for me in a way that was transformative. So again, I'm going to say your level of success. And by the way, that's in every area of your life. That's not just your business success. That's your success in your relationships, your mental health, your physical health, your energy level, right? I mean, you name it. Your success in every area of your life will seldom exceed your level of personal development. And here's how I quantified it, Josh, as I went, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, what level of success do I want in every area of my life?
Right.
I think it's true for all of us. Level 10. I think it's human nature that we want to be as happy and healthy and wealthy and in love as we possibly can. I think that's an innate drive in all human beings is it's self-actualization. We want to fulfill our potential, live the best life we possibly can. So I realized, okay, I want level 10 success in every area. But the next part of the question is to Jim Rohn's point, right? Well, your level of success won't exceed your level of personal development. So the next question was, well, what's my level of personal development? And to be honest with you, at that time in my life, I was not dedicating time to my daily personal development. I wasn't becoming a better version of myself. So it was like a 2 or 3. And I believe that's the disconnect for 99% of our society is that we all want level 10 life level 10 success in every area. But very few people, unless you have your miracle morning or some morning ritual or some personal development ritual, have a level 10 ritual every day that enables them to become that person. And so my epiphany was, I've got to go figure out what the world's most successful people do for their personal development. I'm going to assemble the ultimate personal development ritual. Ended up with 6 practices. Again, it's the savers: silence, meditation or prayer, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing, which is a fancy word for journaling, right? Putting pen to paper. And those 6 practices, I realized if I do that every day, that would be like level 10 personal development.
Right.
And that would theoretically enable me to become the level 10 version of myself that I need to be to create and sustain the success I want in my life. And Josh, I was thinking I would give myself 1 year to get there. And as I mentioned earlier, in less than 2 months, everything changed. I doubled my income. And that's why, it became the miracle morning. But yeah, that daily personal development ritual, not where you're dabbling, not where you like read a blog or you read but like, in fact, let me say one last thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Robert Kiyosaki. I would imagine most people watching know who Robert Kiyosaki is.
Yeah.
Robert is one of the biggest advocates for the miracle morning on the planet. I think he talks about it I don't know if it's every speech he gives around the world, but it's a lot of them, because I've gotten emails. Hey, I'm in South Africa and Robert just spent 5 minutes telling us we have to get this miracle morning book that you wrote. So when Robert reached out to me, his assistant reached out, she said, Robert's read the miracle morning 3 times. And my jaw hit the floor. I'm like, what? One of my favorite authors of my favorite books, Rich Dad Poor Dad, has read my book, my little self-published book, 3 times. She said he does it almost every single day with his wife, Kim, and it's changing his life, and he wants to have you on Rich Dad Radio. So, like just surreal moment. I go on Rich Dad Radio, but the reason I'm telling this story is what he said at the end of the interview. He said, Hal, before you wrote the Miracle Morning, every successful person, and you came up with the SAVERS, that acronym, SAVERS.
Yeah.
He said every successful person on the planet swears by at least one of the SAVERS. Maybe they do 2 or 3. He said, but I've never met a single person that did all 6 of these ancient best practices in a daily ritual. And he said, it's now part of my life. And he said, I think you named the book right, because if one of the savers will change your life, when you do all 6, it creates miracles. He goes, that's what I'm experiencing. And so to me, I think that's really what it is. When you do any one of these savers will change your life. But when you do all 6, it creates miracles in ways that you never expected.
That's amazing, man. And I mean, I want everyone to pay attention to this, right? Like, this is the one thing, like Hal and I kind of joked about this when we first got on. I mean, look, I practice the miracle morning every single morning, right? Being able to go through, I don't know if you know that or not, brother, but I mean, like, it's been part of my practice for many years.
I think you've told me that before now that, it rings a bell.
It's, and I want everyone to be able to look like Hal and I we're in our 40s, right? And I guarantee you, if you look at us 15 years ago, we look older then than we do now. And I mean, like, there's a reason why, right? Like, we are de-aging. And I mean, like, dude, I haven't went close to some of the things that you've gone through your life, but dude, you are looking sexier than ever, right? I mean, like, that's what your wife tells me. It's just,
well, I did joke that you and I do, we not, and I say this jokingly, of course, but like, age appropriate haircuts is not our thing, man. My wife's always like, hey, how long are you going to spike your hair? I'm like, as long as I have hair.
That all the time, man. But I mean, like, this is that whole piece, right? People are like going, oh, well, I want to be able to do, like, look, it's not being able to spend. And how long like, if someone's going in to do the savers every single morning, what's a typical time frame for that?
Yeah, a really good question. So as little as 6 minutes a day and as long as 60 minutes a day, or as long as you want. But I would say 72% of roughly 70% of miracle morning practitioners do 30 minutes. 20+% do 60 minutes. And then whatever's left over is somewhere in between. But there is a chapter in the book called The 6-Minute Miracle Morning. And I don't recommend, like, I'm very clear on that. And this is not like your daily practice, because you can only go, it can be, but you can only go so deep in 6 minutes.
Right.
But what happened was, when I was writing the Miracle Morning, I would find myself with that all or nothing mentality, which is like, I've only got, 20 minutes and I like an hour, so I just won't do it today. It's all or nothing.
Right.
And then one day I had to leave the house in 15 minutes, and I go, what if I did a 6-minute Miracle Morning where I just did 1 minute for each of the savers, 1 minute of silence where I got really calm, said a quick prayer, little, mini meditation, pulled out my affirmations, read them for a minute, right? Visualize my perfect day, what I needed to do today for a minute, got up and exercised 60 seconds of jumping jacks for a minute, got the heart rate going, pulled out the book I was reading, right? Read a page. And I went through the 6 sabers in 6 minutes and I went, that's amazing. I feel so centered and grounded. And I remember thinking, it's like I got 70 to 80% of the benefit in 1/10 of the time. So anyway, point being, the sabers can be done in any order. There's a whole chapter called customizing the sabers.
Yeah.
But any order, any length of time, it really is adaptable to fit your lifestyle.
Dude, and I love that because again, if I remember correctly, we've had this conversation 10 years ago. You had a vision about getting the Miracle Morning practice in every school in America.
Yeah.
And, I know that it was around that 6-minute Miracle Morning and things like that. I mean, like, tell us a little bit more about how that actually became reality.
Yeah. Brianna Greenspan, my good friend, she was my coaching client in 2008 when I created the Miracle Morning. She's literally one of the first people I ever told it about.
Yeah.
She's like, she was one of those, I'm not a morning person, Hal. I'm like, you got to try it. And now she's done the Miracle Morning for probably she's done as many, if not more than I have for 15 years. And she was hosting the Miracle Morning Clubhouse room that she started. Yep. And a principal came on and said, I've done the Miracle Morning in our school. I do it over the loudspeaker with all my students. First, I started with my teachers, then my students. And she said, our detention went from the worst in the district, where we had the most attention of any school in our district. She's in New York City. She said, now we are the best within a matter of months. And she said, I attribute it to the Miracle Morning. And so now the Miracle Morning is the #1 educational product. Don't quote me on that, but my understanding is it's the #1 educational product in New York City. It's in hundreds of schools with tens of thousands of teachers and students. And the response is just incredible. And now it's spreading nationwide. And yeah, Brianna Greenspan is the director of education for the Miracle Morning. And she is the one that is spearheading that program.
Dude, that's huge. And I mean, like, as both of us being fathers, I mean, like, that's the biggest thing we can aspire to. I mean, like, I tell everyone, like, look, I'm put on this planet to be able to work with other amazing humans like yourself, to be able to make this world a better place, not only for my kids, but for future generations. And you have done that with Brianna, being able to go through, like, that's phenomenal, man. I mean, like, that one thing right there will stand the test of time. And I truly do appreciate what you've done. So, like, anyone listening, like, if you're a parent, like, take note. This is not just for us, right? This is for your kids as well. Being able to put this into practice, to be able to change their trajectory, because we live in a world that's more confusing than ever for kids. So to be able to have something they can stick to and stand by every single morning, to be able to help them be the best human beings they can be, like, dude, that's phenomenal. So, like, I know we've only got you for a limited time, brother. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about before I tell everyone where to be able to get the book and be able to go through? Is there anything that really has just hit home for you through this new launch? What's going on that people need to really understand and really push them?
I think that an important question, or it's an objection, so therefore a question, is, well, I'm not a morning person, or what if I'm not a morning person? Like, I don't. Some people, I think that some people have such a strong resistance to being a morning person or waking up when they don't have to, that they don't even want to. They're like, yeah, I heard this book changed millions of lives. I don't even want to read it because I don't even want to be convinced I have to try being a morning person. 2 things I want to share. Number 1 is join the club. We have surveyed the Miracle Morning community for years, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. Roughly 72% of Miracle Morning practitioners, which is why I said 72% earlier with a different statistic, but say they had never been a morning person until they read the book. So a big part of the book is holding your hand psychologically and logistically from, I hate mornings, I don't want to be a morning person, to, okay, this makes sense, to, I'll give it a shot, to, I'll do the 30-day journey, to, oh my God, I'm a morning person. This is a lifelong practice. And the other thing I want to say is I want to help you understand why that is. Why do the majority of society resist waking up in the morning unless they have to? Most of us wait till the last possible minute, until we have to be somewhere, answer to somebody else, or take care of somebody. And I believe this is why. Think about growing up. None of us got out of bed when we wanted to. We were forced out of bed by our parents against our will to get ready for school 5 days a week, the majority of the year. And as our brains were forming, we were developing a resistance and resentment to waking up when we didn't have to wake up. And if given the opportunity, The weekends, holidays, Christmas break, we slept in as long as we possibly could. The problem is most of us have never grown up beyond that because it's so embedded in our subconscious and in our nervous system that now we wait till the last minute to wake up. But if you study the world's most successful people or miracle morning practitioners, you find that it is the key. I would argue the number one key to transforming any area of your life is to transform how you start your day. When you start your day with a miracle morning in a peak physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual state, you're able to not only optimize your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual well-being, but you get to show up at your work, for your family, for yourself at your best every single day.
Hell yeah, man. I can attest to all these different things, Hal, because I mean, no matter, and it's crazy since I've been really concentrating on my mornings, making those the most important part of my day to be able to start off. Like I wake up at 5 a.m. without an alarm clock every single morning. My body naturally wakes up. I'm ready to be able to go. It doesn't matter if I'm here, in Austin, Texas with you and I, if I'm in California, even when I went to Thailand with my wife and she was just like, why are you awake at 5 a.m.? Like seriously, like our time I've shifted. It's just become I've become that, right? And like that's the amazing thing. Like people go, I went from, you're right. I was the kid that would sleep in as long as I can. And now it's just ingrained in me that hey, I wake up at 5 a.m. and I start my day. And this is the opportunity to be able to put back into myself. So 100% agree. And we can all rewire, right? We can all be able to see these opportunities when your body sees that energy, it wants more, right?
That's it. It
And
becomes the best addiction where you start your miracle morning, like, oh my God, I feel so good every day. And then on like Saturday, you'll sleep in and go, maybe I should do the miracle morning on the weekends, like, because I feel better when I do it,
Dude, that's the whole piece. Well, brother, I mean, what's the best place for people to get a copy of this new updated and expanded edition of the book, right?
Yeah.
Like,
So
where
if
someone
you're
can really start
watching,
integrating this stuff.
if you're watching this today, it is the last day for the pre-order campaign because the book comes out tomorrow. So you can get over $199 in pre-order bonuses. Go to thenewmiraclemorning.com. Pre-order the book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, wherever you want to buy it. Then get your receipt and copy that and go to thenewmiraclemorning.com to claim your bonuses. Of course, if you're watching this after today, I apologize. There are no pre-order bonuses, but the book's still going to change your life. So head over to Amazon and grab a copy or again, wherever books are sold.
Hey man, and that's the bonus, right? I mean, like that's great for $200, but the $200 is nothing compared to how this is going to really change your life. And I'm going to drop the link in the comments so everyone's going to be able to grab their copy today. And this is the party, right? This is the celebration for the next stage of everyone's life that hasn't already been doing the miracle morning. Hal, dude, brother, I love you. I appreciate you. I honor everything that you stand for. And thanks for sharing the time with us today.
Thank you, Josh. Ditto, brother. I feel the same, and I'm so grateful for you and everybody watching.